What's good, GATV family? Gravitating away back at it again. Now, unless you've been under a shell, then I'm pretty sure everybody that's tuning in understands that Don Lemon was let go of by CNN. And I think he had a nice run over there for like about possibly 15 years at that. And he had a few scandals here and there, if even scandals, more like, disagreements that turned into a negative spin. I mean, both sides of the parties does that, whether it's Fox, CNN, etc. But he had controversial moments, nonetheless. He had very much so controversial moments. And to see him be let go of, one could think it's multiple reasons. I wouldn't even put it all that it's in one. But what was the peak and climax of dealing with his so-called controversy? CNN let him go after his fiery exchange on air with GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, if I didn't get that right, I'm sure I get a pass. But nonetheless, I personally think it was because of the heated exchange that Don had with this brother over here. Now, we're going to check it out, but let me be one to say I'm not the biggest Don Lemon fan at all. It's not even for the popular reasons why. And it's just, when you're on that other side over there, and I'm not saying both sides don't play dirty, but when you're on that side over there, man, it's just something I can't mess with in terms of their morals, the agendas that they push. And I'm not going down the rabbit hole with all that right now. But that's one of the main reasons I never really could rock with Don Lemon. He's, despite, or rather not to judge him based off of his, sexuality, it's never really been that for me, although I was surprised. But it's really him aligning himself with values I don't rock with. And I'm talking about it can be anywhere from economics, cultural, religious. I just don't rock with it. But I can, with all that being said, I can honestly say I rock with Don Lemon when it came to this brother over here. I mean, I got to play this so you can get context into what I'm saying if you haven't been tuning in through other platforms. But let's check this out real quick.
Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting the Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because Black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
You know how they got it? They got their Second Amendment rights, and they played a big role in that. But today, down the
NRA did not play a big role in that.
They trained Black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The NRA did not play a big role.
This is co-host Poppy Harlow watched on as the.
Now, whether you disagree with either party, for me personally, I thought Don Lemon showed the backbone he should have carried throughout his career when it came to race. There are people that are race baiters, and that's their whole gist. They push that. If you ever seen any of my videos, then I can tell you myself, I've never been one to push or hustle race. It has serious consequences, and there's serious realities that's going on about it. But you got this presidential candidate coming up on national television, and it's so dismissive to say Black people secured their freedoms. Now, are they free by the extent of what the law says? Of course. But I don't want to feel like I'm giving, people an excuse to lay their hats on. Nah, that's not it. I'm boots by the straps guy, and let's get to work. It's just that it's something that doesn't sit well for me. A man, trust me, being of Indian descent, he does not consider himself Black. That I can promise you. I can promise you that. But for him to feel like he could speak for Black people in this country and say they have secured their freedoms, I can't register with that. I can't. There's a lot of, coded messaging going on with that. There's things in the background that you would have to understand, read about, really do research to understand where I'm coming from, because I'm never going to pretend. And I know I be having issues with the FBA cult movements and the Tariq Nasheedians of the world, but that's not gonna, derail my thought process and understanding, Black people in this nation have been given so many hurdles and roadblocks just to go down the street. And that could be in context of, economics, finances. Me personally, I know redlining left, decades and decades of effect from that. And it still goes on, even if not in paperwork, in the minds it does, But for me to see that so-called Indian brother speaking on matters like that, when Don Lemon made a rebuttal, it made sense. He was talking about the Reconstruction era. So many, again, coded messaging was going on to limit Black people here in this country. Now, we can disagree about a lot of different things, about a lot of narratives all of a sudden is being spun with xenophobic rhetoric towards Black immigrants, but I'm not playing those games, man, where it's someone like that who doesn't even consider himself Black speaking on issues like that, not understanding, again, very integral, components that really kind of shape where we're at in terms of bridging of the gaps of where white folks are and Black folks are. Like, we're not going to play that game. So on that note, I'm in my conclusion, I thought Don held himself very well there. Like, I kind of respected that. Was he emotional? Yeah. And that's kind of the wrong place to kind of get off script. And that's what happened. A lot of brothers don't understand. You got to work towards owning your own thing. Of course, I've worked for people, but at the same rate, I've always tried to do my own thing. You have to have backup plans. And Don was licking boot for the longest. It's only been recently, the last couple of years, and specifically, I think last year or earlier this year, no, it was last year, where they took away, him as the headliner for that network. I know he felt it. He always looked passive aggressive in his new show, having two hosts who honestly looked like they couldn't pass 6th grade. Honestly, they put pretty faces next to him, and it couldn't hide Don's resentment towards being demoted. But against this Indian brother over here, I gotta rock with Don, man. He kept it real. This Indian doesn't get to come, and in this national spotlight and speak as if he's a Black man. He's not a Black man. Not just that, him not being a Black man is why it's so easy for him to be dismissive when it came to kind of just looking away from things that kind of still has, its place in terms of shackles in this community, Black community at that. Now, again, I'm one to tell y'all, I'd rather see y'all overcome it to the best of your abilities. Sitting down, complaining, hoping everything is going to be okay is not realistic. But I'm not rocking with this brother over here. Gravitating away, like, comment, share, subscribe. But most importantly, keep coming back.
If it's love, I want everything. Touch my soul, touch my heart, don't judge my mental. They told me that life is simple, been real since Papa Pimple. I started out in the Renault Sonata, the presidential. Speak once and listen twice, they told me that less is simple.